Another big return from the injury ward as Edmonton's Viking will patrol the blue line once again. We get you set for the Oilers and the Sharks here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show. Tom Gazzola with you. Hope you're doing well on a pleasant but windy day in Edmonton as we get you set for the Oilers and the Sharks heading to the weekend. Ooh, it's going to be a big one. Last weekend of the regular season. Next week, we're talking playoffs, and we're going to be talking about the first round. It's going to be the Oilers. It's going to be the Kings. It's going to be wild. That's what I'm anticipating, and I can't wait to get that going. You can already sense the playoff vibe in the air around the arena in the district today. They had the power washers washing down the moss pit. They were getting everything spruced up and clean. Painting stuff, fixing stuff up. Oh, it was fantastic. It was great, and you can tell that we're about ready for another silly season. Of course, we highly recommend you join the conversation tonight. Text us 780-218-9999. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, please and thank you, and get into the nasty chat. Also, GCL Diesel, presenting sponsors of the Oil Stream pre- and post-game show and providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. He is in for the Latino Heat. He is Ice Koob. He is Zachary Kubusch. And I think he has about 19 other nicknames that have been bestowed upon him. Welcome, Koob. You're going to be filling in for Hernan for the next little while before he returns. I saw Nanso put up a nice picture, him and Angelica on a beach, having a cerveza, maybe checking in on this game, maybe getting into the post-game show in the nasty chat. Probably not, but you're here for the ride the rest of the way, aren't you?
Had my mic muted there. Jeez, I just pulled a cast, I guess you could say.
I did that twice today. Don't worry about it.
It's all good. I don't think I've ever done that on this side. But anyways, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I've done a stretch of games like this in a while. I maybe filled in here and there for Hernan or somebody got sick or whatever. But this is going to be the first time, I think, since I was on practicum like nearly a year ago that I was kind of, doing a few games back to back here. So looking forward to get to work with you again on the pre and post game shows, Tommy. And, there's Sharks here in Edmonton, hopefully where Angelica and Hernan are in Mexico, that there's not going to be many Sharks around them. Kind of jealous.
Me too. But the weather's turning for the better here, and we're going to be just fine as Hernan enjoys a much-needed and well-deserved vacation. All right, as is tradition, you are going to provide the question of the night in honor of Hernan Salas. So I'll let you have the floor, put it out there, and let's see if we get some good answers tonight.
Well, there's a lot of great players in the National Hockey League, as we know, and there's a lot of players in the Hart conversation. Leon Draisaitl is one of those players, but he's been missing a few games here and there, and he won't be playing in the Oilers lineup tonight. And I'm just curious, with the games missed, does it affect Leon Draisaitl and his push for the Hart Trophy that he's missing these games? That'll be the question of the night here tonight, Tommy.
I like it. Good question of the night. And I would say yes, it hurts his chances at the Hart Trophy. I think he was in a little bit tough regardless. I know that you can make an argument for Nathan McKinnon. Nikita Kucherov has snuck in there. He's put together an awesome season. And, of course, Connor Hellebuck. I mean, in Winnipeg, they're rooting for Hellebuck, obviously, to win the Hart Trophy. And Draisaitl has had a monster season. He has been the engine that has helped spur this team on. It hasn't always been McDavid this season. Now, McDavid's had a very nice season, but it's not like supernova McDavid-esque like we're used to. Maybe he's been hampered by some things, obviously returned from injury the other day, but Draisaitl has been awesome. And Draisaitl with 106 points in 71 games, nothing to, complain about at all. So, although I would like to see him win another Hart Trophy, I think he's in tough, and I do think that him missing all these games has affected his status and where he sits in the Hart Trophy voting.
Now, I guess you could say, like, instead of just a yes or no answer, really to put it like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much it affects it. Because, if you miss a couple games here and there, sure. But if you're still
right,
like he's played 71 games, that's nearly the entire season. And there's still, a couple games that he might fit in here or there down the stretch. But yeah, it definitely does affect it no matter what. And it kind of sucks. Like, I guess you look at a player like Kaprizov, who's now been injected into the Wild lineup, and they played the Sharks 8-7 game. That was a wild one. He got the game-winning goal in that one, but he was a front runner for the Art Ross and the Hart in the early going. Of course, he missed a few months there. Leon Draisaitl didn't, but going down the stretch, you look at it and you're like, well, these players played outright. They got that many points. It's easy to look at the point totals, and it kind of sucks to say, but yeah, it definitely does affect Leon heading down the stretch here.
Yeah, and late in the season too, Koob, because the voting's going to happen either right away or maybe it has happened already, but maybe it happens right at the end of the year. I can't remember. However, when it happens late in the year, that's when a lot of guys kind of make their final push and put a stamp on their claim to whatever individual trophy is up for grabs in the NHL. And I think this missing these games and having missed 7 of the 78, I think definitely affects him in a bad way. I would say probably 5 or 6 on a scale of 1 to 10, how much it affects it, if that's what you were asking. So yes, it affects it. I think the time of the year hurts. And then I'm curious to see what other people have to say. So text us 780-218-9999. That is the question of the night. How much has Leon Draisaitl missing games lately affected his hopes for another Hart Trophy? Curtis Pashelka will be by in about 5 minutes from the Bay Area News Group to give us the scoop on these Sharks. Yes, we just saw them, but we'll get one last discussion about the Sharks in before they head off to the summer early exit, obviously, and they're going to get another great pick at the draft and look to continue to build and put in some foundational pieces for that organization. Got some great questions for Curtis. Looking forward to hearing what he has to say. And then, of course, Shawn Belle in for Matt Cassian tonight. He will be our game analyst. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. We want to hear from you. Bad Billy getting in early says, Bad Billy says it shouldn't be the Eastern voters who won't vote for him. Hellebuck should win, in my opinion. Question, Tommy, is there any chatter about Kane going to Baco for a few games this weekend for conditioning? Thanks. Bad Billy, that was something that Chris Knobloch was asked this morning when we were at the rink. And it was Daniel Nugent-Bowman who said, hey, is that something that you guys have discussed? And Knobloch wouldn't get into it. He's like, I'm not willing and ready to talk about that. So he kind of brushed it off. I think it would be beneficial. Whether or not it happens, I don't know. And maybe we'll find out more tonight at the game. But, yeah, Knobloch brushed that question off pretty quickly. I'm sure they would like that. But, the player has to agree to it as well. So we shall see. But good question, Bad Billy. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. We continue on here as we get into starting lineups as the 45, 28, and 5 Oilers take on the 20, 47, and 11 Sharks. Starting lineups, as always, brought to you by South Fort Chev. Buy now and save 0% financing, OAC up to 72 months, or save up to $8,000 on 2025 Silverado 1500s. It's that time of year for seasonal tire change service. Mention that EST sent you and receive an on-rim tire change for $59.95 plus tax. They're also giving away big discounts on inspections when you get your tires changed. So see dealer for details, www.southfortchev.com. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. All right, for the Oilers tonight, here's what we're anticipating. Connor McDavid with Jeff Skinner and Connor Brown. That line had a very nice game against St. Louis. Adam Henrique with Victor Arvidsson and Zach Hyman. Matthias Janmark between Podkolzin and Perry. And then the fourth line tonight, Noah Philp with Max Jones and Kasperi Kapanen. On defense for the Oilers, Nurse with Stetcher, Kulak with Bouchard, Mattias Ekholm. It's been 7 games. He's been out. He returns to action. He'll be paired up with Ty Emberson. Cam Dineen was recalled on an emergency basis. He was on the ice for the morning skate, but will not play, it looks like. As for the San Jose Sharks, Macklin Celebrini between Nikolai Kovalenko, son of Andre, former Oiler. Will Smith on the right side of that top line. Then you've got Alex Wenberg between William Eklund and Tyler Toffoli. Ty Dellandrea between Carl Grundstrom and Barclay Goudreau. And then Zach Ostapchuk centering Noah Gregor and Cameron Lund. On defense for the Sharks, we're expecting Lucas Carlson with Timothy Liljegren, Henry Thrun with Jan Ruda, who's missed 27 games and makes his return tonight, Mark-Edward Vlasic with Jack Thompson. That brings us to your starting goalies for the Oilers. 32-year-old Calvin Pickard, he'll be 33 in a couple days. 21, 9-1. He gets the nod for the Oil. 265 goals against average, 901 save percentage in 34 games this season. Pickard versus the Sharks lifetime, 4-1-1 record, 315 goals against average, 898 save percentage in 6 appearances versus San Jose. And then at the other end of the rink, we saw him not long ago, Georgi Romanov, still looking for his first NHL victory. He's 0-4 this season, 402 goals against average, 873 save percentage in the 6 games he's played this year. The 25-year-old has an 0-1 record versus Edmonton with a 288 GAA, 926 save percentage, and has faced the Oilers in 2 games this season and in his career. Actually, that first game came late last season when he made his NHL debut here in Edmonton. All right, let's get to the Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report at Advantage Sports Medicine. They want you to know that you may not swing like Tiger, but at least you don't have to feel like you wrestled one. Aha, Masters in full force. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. All right, for the Oilers, here we go. Jake Walman, day-to-day undisclosed injury. Leon Draisaitl, day-to-day undisclosed injury. John Klingberg, day-to-day undisclosed. Actually, they put him on IR. I should note that. Trent Frederick, day-to-day ankle. Alec Regula, IR knee. Evander Kane, LTIR, abdominal surgery and knee surgery. Oh, by the way, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins did not skate this morning and is still ill. Don't expect him in the lineup as well. Now looking at the San Jose Sharks, Mario Ferraro broke his ankle in that wild game in Minnesota the other night. He is out. Shakir Mukhamadullin, he is day-to-day upper body. Vinny Desharnais, the former Oiler, day-to-day upper body. Logan Couture, IR, groin. So there you go. There's your Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. My goodness, I'm watching this Montreal-Ottawa game in the satellite studios, and we got a Pizzetta fight. These guys are just chucking them. Going with Hodgson, it looks like. 4-2 Ottawa leads Montreal. 4 minutes left in the second period. All right. Text us your thoughts. 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, of course, EdmontonSportsTalk.com's audio player. Get in on the action and shoot us a text. What a fight. Both guys pumped up after that one. Everybody in Ottawa pumped up after that. It's playoff season, baby. Here we go. And joining us again from the Bay Area News Group, it is Curtis Pashelka covering the San Jose Sharks. Curtis, welcome back to the program. I appreciate it. It's been so long since you were on with us, and that's kind of one of the beauties of these two teams going at it 3 times in a week and a half. Anyway, take us through that crazy game in Mini that ended 8-7 in favor of the Wild. What the hell happened there, Curtis?
Oh, Tommy, I'll have to try him again. Sorry about that.
All right, we'll get Curtis his audio straightened out. We'll get him back on here. I'll just get to some texts in the meantime. Coach Mike says, when they clinch tonight, do you expect players to rest moving forward? Tommy is 97 playing the final 3 games. Coach Mike, we didn't get any indicators as to which games or how many guys would sit out. It sounds like we'll see Leon for 1 or 2. We're going to get Stu Skinner for a couple. He is backing up tonight. And Trent Frederick is expected to be back by game 2, maybe game 1 if they're able to pull that off. And then I would imagine that some of the older guys, if they have some bumps and bruises, might rest up. But we shall see. I think they're taking it day to day, and they're not trying to be in a position to plan too far ahead, because things can happen with the 4 games that do remain. So no indication as to which days and games guys might sit out, but I would imagine that there will be that factoring in next week. All right, Curtis is back. Curtis, welcome back. Take us through that crazy game against Minnesota the other night.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks game were it was a close game towards the end of the second period, and Minnesota scores a couple of goals towards the end of the second period, takes a 4-3 lead, or takes a lead at that point, and then comes out at the start of the third period and scores a couple of more quick goals, and all of a sudden it's 7-4 for Minnesota, and you're certainly expecting at that point, considering how much the Sharks have struggled this year, that kind of be a game, set, and match at that point. But the Sharks really showed a lot of resolve in that game, sort of led by Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. Those two sort of carried the water there for the Sharks and led the charge in terms of tying that game. Will Smith scoring the game tying goal with just under a minute to go. So the Sharks took a lot of positives out of that game. Not defensively necessarily, but just how they fought back and didn't quit. And really at least able to get a point out of that game, and had a little bit of momentum coming into tonight's game, obviously against a terrific Oilers team, and it's kind of gearing up for the playoffs. So we'll see what the Sharks can be able to do tonight. Obviously banged up, but I think they got a little bit of momentum off that game anyway.
Yeah, lots of goals. Celebrini hat trick. I think it was Eriksson Ek had a hat trick as well. Just offense everywhere. Marc-Andre Fleury's last start, it looked like. So we'll see if there's a bit of buzz tonight at Rogers Place. Maybe a little bit different. I don't know if it'll be as high scoring. Anyway, in that game, Mario Ferraro breaks his ankle. Jan Ruda comes back tonight. I know you're talking about that in your article today. He has missed 27 games with a lower body injury. I'm not going to dive into Jan Ruda's game, Curtis. I don't think we need to do that. But how many of the guys who are Sharks today do you see being in the starting lineup game 1 of the 25-26 season?
Well, I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, you mentioned Ruda. Obviously, he's a UFA. They got some other players who are RFAs, and Clay Costin, former Oiler, of course. Not sure if he'll be back. Noah Gregor, obviously Edmonton native, just south of Edmonton. Not sure if he'll be back. But a guy like Nikolai Kovalenko was obviously in a contract year. He was a healthy scratch for a good 8-9 games in a row there.
Right.
But lo and behold, with some injuries and Colin Graf going reassigned to the American League, all of a sudden there's an opportunity for Nikolai. He's able to kind of step in, gets put on that top line with Celebrini and Smith, and he's looked really good. Obviously, these last couple of games. So there's something there, and I really think that the Sharks want to try to make that work. Use the key piece the Sharks got back in the Mackenzie Blackwood trade from Colorado. So he's someone the Sharks really thought highly of when they first acquired him. It's just a matter of trying to get him some confidence, trying to get his game back, and see if he can be a real piece going forward here. But who knows? I mean, between now and the start of next season, what this roster is going to look like, all you can kind of tell is the young core that's here right now, and certainly a guy like Tyler Foley is part of that. Alexander Lindbergh, those guys are signed for next year or beyond. So tough to say exactly. I think Mike Greer has said he wants to try to start building this thing up. Maybe the tear down is more or less complete, and try to sort of build this thing up and we get some free agents or acquire some other players via trade and see if we can try to take a step forward for next season.
Hey, and speaking of that, Curtis, even though it's been another tough season, talking with some of the media today, they were kind of saying that there seems to be more positive energy around the group this year compared to this time last year. Do you get a sense of that as well when you're around the group?
Oh, for sure. I mean, last year at this time, guys were more or less just kind of playing out the string. I mean, they had such a dismal year. A lot of guys were in the lineup who weren't going to be here long term, and you just got a feeling that it was just that was rock bottom for the Sharks last season. They obviously went into Edmonton on that last road trip of the year and just got blasted. I think it was 9-2 in that game, next to the last game of the year for the Sharks, and then they go out of Calgary and get blown out again, and that was rock bottom for the Sharks. And so this year, at least you have some glimpses of what the future of this team kind of looks like. Not only Celebrini and Smith, but Shakir Mukamadula, who you mentioned, they're very high on. He played very well before he got hurt not too long ago at the start of the month, and they certainly think he's going to be a piece for them going forward. And I mentioned Colin Graff. He's a guy who came on, college free agent, signed with the Sharks last year. It certainly looks like a piece for next season as well. And then a goalie in Yaroslav Askarov. So
yeah,
there's more of a bright future, or at least a glimpse of what this team's going to be like, or at least heading in the right direction as compared to last year, where the biggest thing was just making sure the Sharks are the best draft lottery odds and hoping to get Macklin Celebrini to sort of kickstart the rebuild here. So much more bright, positive outlook for the Sharks right now as opposed to a year ago. So a long way to go, obviously, but I think everyone can kind of agree it's going in the right direction.
Curtis Pashelka joining us now for the Bay Area News Group, talking about tonight's tilt, Oilers and Sharks, 3rd of 4 meetings this season between these two teams. Okay, kind of staying on that topic, Curtis, how has the fan base reacted to this season? Have they abandoned the team? Do they still keep tabs and they're reluctant to go to games? Because I remember when the Sharks were awesome and they're perennial contenders, and we would go in there and the building was full. It was super loud. You could feel the vibrations up in that press box. How would you describe where the fan base is at with this organization right now?
Well, I mean, if you just look at simply the attendance, I think, for weekday games and, Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, the attendance is not very good, not close to where it was, during the heyday here of this organization, a decade ago or so ago. Weekend games, obviously, you typically sell out. Usually the Sharks some sort of giveaway on Saturday nights to really boost attendance. So, but I think people kind of understand that the Sharks are starting to come out of it a little bit. There's a little bit more optimism. Just generally speaking, in the Bay Area as a whole, the interest really rises once the team gets into the playoffs. That's when really sort of it transcends just the hockey fans in the area to more like the general sports fans start to get really interested in the team again. So we'll see where the Sharks land next year. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team next year, but they should at least be closer to it than they are this year. So I think the better the team gets, the interest will grow, and people will become more familiar with the players on the team, and that's sort of how you sort of build the brand and the identity of what Sharks hockey is going to look like here going forward. So I would say, generally speaking, maybe interest isn't widespread right now, but I think it'll get there, at some point. Yeah,
it was such a good hockey market, and I wouldn't think for a second that fans in around San Jose wouldn't give up on the team or would give up on the team and just not care about hockey. So it'll be good to see them back on the up and up. All right, final one for you. This is the most burning question I have. What's it going to take for Georgi Romanov to get his first NHL win, Curtis? Because he's still looking for it. He's played 8 NHL games, but poor Georgie looking for that first W.
Well, the first thing is the Sharks got to stay out of the penalty box and try to make this more of a 5-on-5 game. Their penalty kill against Minnesota the other night was just absolutely brutal. Minnesota went 3 for 4 on the power play, and certainly the Sharks can't afford to start taking penalty parade to the penalty box tonight against this Oilers team, especially with David back. And the other thing is, you try to take care of the puck in your own zone, break out the puck well. If this team starts turning the puck over at their own blue line or in the neutral zone, they'll get buried. So it's just a matter, and with Georgie, it's just a matter of making the saves he needs to make. He doesn't necessarily I don't know if he has to be super mad tonight, but you saw what Yaroslav Askarov did a few months ago, right before Christmas, when the Sharks were at Edmonton, and maybe you need another performance like that to get his first win. But I think first and foremost, the players around him have to do their job as well, and try to make it as easy as possible on their goalie, because it is going to be a huge challenge for him tonight, no doubt.
Yeah, Sharks looking to snap a 7-game winless streak tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. Curtis, it is always a pleasure. I appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this tonight. Enjoy the game.
You got it. Thanks, Tom.
That is Curtis Pashelka. Awesome stuff as always from him out of the Bay Area News Group, giving us a look into everything that's going on with the San Jose Sharks. So not gloom and doom. That's good. Another opportunity at a high pick to continue to build this up. That's good. And the teardown, as Curtis described it, over in Mike Greer's eyes, and now the rebuild begins, and it's going to be a process that'll take a couple of years. But Macklin Celebrini, watch him tonight. He is absolutely tremendous, electric, however you want to describe him. He's a hell of a hockey player. They got a good pair there with him and Will Smith, and they've got a couple of other pieces that if you don't pay attention and you don't stay on them, will burn you for sure. So that is the scoop on the Sharks. Pardon me. As Curtis bringing us the goods there. All right, Koob, really quickly, throw out the question of the night one more time.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of players pushing for the Hart right now. It's Nikita Kucherov, Nathan MacKinnon, Leon Draisaitl, Connor Hellebuyck. But with Leon in specific, on a scale 1 to 10, how does missing these games, he's missed, what, you said 7, Tommy, now? Missing these games, and he's missing the game tonight. How much does that affect his push for the Hart Trophy this season?
Text us 780-218-9999 as we get you set for Game Changers with our game analyst, Shawn Belle, in for Cast tonight. Game Changers, as always, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. He was on the Hangout today with Big Uke. That was awesome. And Jay Milne. Love that. Damon Bunting has also been a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He's community-driven and understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Belzy is good to go. Let's get him on here. Hello, Belzy. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How's it going, boys?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Thanks for being here with us.
You look dapper today.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is good.
You look jacked right now.
Well, wearing a black shirt, it's slimming.
Slimming. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's what I do.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Hey, did you catch the question of the night from Coop?
Not really.
All right.
Coop sounded like he had marbles in his mouth.
Oh, that's that means he likes you, Coop.
Ouch.
All right, Belzy. It is, how much does missing these games late in the season hurt Leon Draisaitl's chance at winning the Hart Trophy? What would you say to that?
I want to say it's going to hurt more than it does, but the reality of the situation is that I think he's had such a good body of work that I don't think it's going to really truly hurt. And, when you look at Hellebuyck, who's another guy that's a candidate, hey, he's having an unbelievable season. He's having a Vezina-worthy season.
Yep.
But the reality of the situation is that the Winnipeg Jets aren't winning games solely off the backs of Hellebuyck. They have such a good team that they're winning games because they have an unbelievably deep lineup.
Good point.
Not necessarily where Draisaitl is carrying the Oilers. And, McDavid has been great, but Draisaitl's carried the Oilers at large portions of the season.
All right, what say you? Question of the night. Text us 780-218-9999. Sticky Dave says, Draisaitl is by far the Hart Trophy favorite. I don't care what anybody else says. Screw Hellebuyck. Forget Kucherov, and MacKinnon is a non-factor. Book it. Signed, Sticky Dave. Sticky Dave, welcome back to the program. Sticky Dave, always bold with his text. Appreciate it as always. So there you go. There's one person's opinion. Sticky Dave, thank you. Appreciate it. And let's see if we get some more responses. All right, Bellsy, let's get into game changers here. Point number 1 tonight, clinch.
Yeah, I mean, very self-explanatory. You've had multiple opportunities to do it. You want to book your ticket to the postseason where, all season long, everybody's been gunning for it and talking about the playoffs and, trying to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. And it's been a long ride. It's been an interesting journey. There's been injuries, there's highs and lows, all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, the Oilers have consistently talked about trying to get to the top of the mountain again. And so let's get that finished and, let's stop playing around. They probably should have won the game against Anaheim to clinch, but here we are today. You've got the San Jose Sharks, and historically they haven't necessarily always played the best against bottom tier talent. Well, today's a different day, and make sure that you come out hot and you clinch. But you take care of the business that you need to take care of so you can clinch a playoff spot.
All right, Bellsy, kind of further to that, with the season that the Oilers have had, it hasn't instilled a ton of confidence in a chunk of the fan base. There are fans who are confident in this team that do have faith that it will kick things up a notch for the postseason, especially when guys get healthy. But there have been areas of doubt. There have been reasons for that doubt. There have been stretches that have led to some of the doubt. And it doesn't create a sense of overconfidence going into the postseason when it comes to this team. How much stock do you put in what has happened this regular season going into the playoffs?
The Oilers are such an enigma. And I say it because we've always seen whenever their backs are against the wall, you get the best version of the Oilers. When there's, things are going good, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's whatever, and you do what you do. And you get into the playoffs, and this to me seems like a team that they're motivated by, margins of error being razor thin. They're motivated by games matter all the time. And part of me thinks that the minute this happens, they're going to turn it on. The other part of me is I'm a little bit worried for them. And I'm hoping they're going to turn it on and they're going to take their game to a different level. But at the same time, there's a ton of guys out of the lineup, and all those guys need to get acclimated. They need to develop a little chemistry. There is new guys that are going to be coming in, obviously with some of the trades and stuff like that. So they're an interesting team because of that, and they have that star power, and they have guys that can put the puck in the net. It's just whether or not they decide they're going to go or not.
All right, fair enough. That is point number 1 of Game Changers. Clinch. They can do it with a win tonight. They just need a point, even to get to overtime. But they should be able to beat this Sharks team. All right, Bellsy, talking about guys coming back into the lineup. Mattias Ekholm is one of them. So point number 2 is the Ekholm effect.
Yeah, I mean, Mattias Ekholm, when he's healthy and playing his game, he is an absolute stud. He helps prop up Bouchard. Bouchard, obviously, we've talked about him lots, but he's the type of player that is going to give you really solid minutes. He's going to limit opportunities and chances for other teams. He does a lot of heavy lifting from the back end, and with him being out, you've seen how valuable he actually is. Mm-hmm. And you hope that this recent stint out of the lineup is going to help him get healthy, because if you get a healthy Ekholm going into the playoffs, this is a really big boost for the Oilers, especially tonight. Well,
yeah. I mean, again, it is the Sharks, but you're right.
Yeah.
Good to get in these last few games. Ekholm expected to be paired up with Ty Emerson, not the usual Ekholm-Bouchard pairing. Kulak looks like he's going to pair up with Bouchard. Nurse with Stetcher. What do you make of those D combinations? And why do you think the Knobloch and Paul Coffey and Mark Stewart said we're going to put Ekholm in with Emerson tonight?
Well, I think Kulak was an unbelievable player the last game that he played. I think he was one of the best defensemen on the team, and
29 minutes.
He deserves a little bit more. He's been a defensive stalwart since he came to the Oilers, and I think that's part of it. And the other part is they're probably trying to ease Ekholm back into the games so that he's not potentially logging 25 to 30 minutes. They just want to ease him in, make sure that he's fully healthy, and then they can start to tinker with their lineup.
Mattias Ekholm, by the way, his last game was not on the game log. Here we go. I got it here. He's missed 7, Bellsy.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you lose your timing in a stretch like that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends if he's been completely out of the lineup or if he's been skating, with some of the skills guys, the skating coach, the trainers. There's differences with that, but I think he's going to be okay. He's played so much in the last few years that I don't think he's going to necessarily lose, his ability to play at a high level. He might be slightly rusty, but I got a feeling he's going to shake that off pretty quickly.
He's played 4 of the last 17 games. He has played 21-27 in his first game back, the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
Then he played 21-20 the second game, 19-13 the third game, and 22-52 back on March 26th against Dallas. That's the last time we saw him in action. He had a goal and 5 assists in those 4 games, logging over 20 minutes a night. So that, I think he should be fine, but
I would agree with that.
The fact that he missed a chunk of games, he missed 4, he missed 6, then played 4, then missed 7. Is that an indicator of anything to you, or is that concerning?
To me, it seems like there's a nagging injury that he's got to get over, and hopefully, this recent stretch of games that he's missed is enough to kind of get him over the hump. They need Ekholm. They need him in a big way, and all this MVP talk, gets you thinking. Okay, well, Draisaitl is the league MVP, in my opinion, but is Ekholm one of the Oiler MVPs?
Yes,
because of how much they actually miss this guy when he's out of the lineup. So he's a big piece of this puzzle, and when he's in the lineup, it's now you've got 4 or 5 defensemen deep, and it's just a different looking decor.
All right, that was point number 2 of Game Changers, the Ekholm effect. Game Changers is always brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Bellsy in tonight as our game analyst. All right, Bellsy, point number 3. Don't forget about Philp.
Yeah, this he's getting his another stint. To me, when he was in the lineup at the start of the season, he was gradually getting better.
Yep.
You're at a point now, the Oilers have signed a few guys out of Europe. You're pushing for the playoffs. They made some trades. But could this be a guy that comes in and maybe potentially solidifies the bottom 6? They're looking for a right-handed centerman. Derek Ryan has been in and out. He's been sent down. Whether he went down or not, it's a completely different situation.
He did not. We
but
know this.
The reality of the situation is they need a right-handed centerman, and has Noah Phillips' game grown enough in Baco that he can now come in and be kind of the guy on that fourth line, because he earned it for most of the season. He obviously earned that earlier call up. It'll be interesting to see where his game is in his next stint.
Philp, by the way, has played 13 games this season. The other night he played 8:43, and I don't know, he had a crossbar. He had a nice redirection that hit the crossbar. For a young, not young, he's 26, and he's been around the hockey world for some time. He's been a pro for a couple of years. Obviously, it's well documented he took the year off to get into a good frame of mind, and rightly so. How much of this, Bellsy, this opportunity that presents itself for Noah Philp can be for next year and making a case to be that big, steady, reliable right shot centerman that the Oilers covet?
Well, I think it's really important. I just, people are always watching, and you never know when you're going to make the NHL. There's lots of different cases across the league where guys are making at, 27, 28, 29, 30. So for Philip, he missed a year development, and he's clearly taken his game to another level to the point where he's now earned another call-up. That's what it is at the end of the day. So, what he does in his body of work and however long this stint is, I do think it's important for him to put his best foot forward, because maybe he starts to, reap some benefits next season, because, we need a guy like that as our fourth line center. He's a guy that can handle, those minutes or whatever that looks like. Can he play on the PK? Can he shut down opposing teams' lines? Those are all things that they're going to be looking for, and because they're evaluating, and the roster is going to be different next season.
Right.
They got the roster that they have this year is great, but what are they doing next season? And they're always looking for guys to make that jump.
When you were a top prospect looking to make that jump this time of year, getting into some games, did you see it as a confidence builder yourself, or were you nervous? How did you approach it? And what do you think most guys think of when we're trying to handle this scenario where they have an opportunity, they know they're probably not going to be part of the playoff picture, but they want to show well?
Yeah, you just said it. You said it best. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to try to steal a roster spot. It's an opportunity to showcase your talents for not only the Edmonton Oilers but potentially some other teams. So what you're putting out on the ice right now is beneficial, because Tommy better than anybody. You walk up in that press box, there's pro scouts from every single team that are there every single night. So you want to be an NHL player. Well, show up, handle your business, because you never know who's going to come calling.
What's it like being a black ace and you're not going to play?
Sucks.
Really?
I remember me and Wardo, we were on the playoff roster with the Wild, and Mario Tremblay skated us for an hour, just the two of us, and it was the worst thing on the planet. So, black ace, cool.
Yeah, okay, but
enjoy your skates.
How about I'm thinking of it this way. You're not going to play, but you're around just in case.
Yeah,
but
you're not going to play,
hour.
you're just going to get absolutely destroyed, because they want to make sure that you're in game shape. And maybe the game's changed, and maybe the way that they do things is a little bit different. I hope to God it's different. But, man, I remember that skate like it was yesterday, because he absolutely beat the brakes off of us.
So you didn't go out after games? You weren't
No.
Minnesota Wild?
No, I mean, I did go to Laguna Beach a couple times, but
that's
fun.
Not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
That's not bad. Belsy, great stuff as always, my friend. Thanks for filling in for Cass, and we'll catch up with you on the postgame show, okay?
No problem. Take care. Nasties.
There's Shawn Belle, our game analyst with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. I'll throw this one at you, Koob. It comes in from Brandon from Windsor, who says, one question that we should be asking is, if healthy, does Connor hit 100 points again? And guys, he's at 93 with 4 games to go. Does he get there?
I think he'll hit it this season. There's no reason not. He got 3 assists. He was a machine the last game that he played. After missing the handful of games, I didn't expect him to step back in. For some reason, I doubted the guy, where he could turn and burn and completely change the game. Against the Blues, when I was looking at that lineup that morning, I was like, man, this is the worst lineup I think I've ever seen. Watching the Oilers, I didn't really watch during the decade of darkness. I started in
bad lineups, Coop.
I don't know how deep it goes, man. I got to explore that deep one day. But Connor McDavid is just a machine. 4 games is he could get it in 2. He can get 6 points in 2 games easily.
7.
Easily he can
7.
do it. 7. Sorry, 7. Quick math. Yeah.
There you go. I think he could. I think he could have a big night tonight. Put himself within striking distance. So I think it is attainable. Brandon from Windsor. Good question. Can McDavid get to the century mark points-wise? He sits at 93 heading into action tonight, has 4 games to go. And I definitely, especially if he has 4 or 5 tonight, which he could.
Especially against Georgi Romanov. Nothing against the guy.
Georgie!
Hey, Georgie. I think of that every single time I hear his name. And like he's been shelled a few times in his career. Like he lost 8-1 March 30th against LA, which is not very good. Like the Sharks team can't really pop many goals when he seems to be in net. They are an electric team. And it was 8-7 the other day. He wasn't playing in that one. But Connor McDavid can feast tonight for sure.
Good term. I like it. It. Brendan from Windsor follows up. Thank you, Tommy. You're very welcome. Maple Jed chiming in says, sadly, this is in regard to the question of the night. Sadly, Draisaitl's heart run is over. Missing the end of the season gives the voters the excuse they needed to give it to McKinnon. And then this one, first-time texter, welcome to the program, says, unbiased Jets fan here. My vote would go to Draisaitl. The Jets are a juggernaut defensively. Only LA comes close. Even Comrie has a .236 goals against average and .914 save percentage. And he sucks. That's from an unnamed Jets fan who is unbiased. First text ever. Welcome to the program. And Eric Comrie. There's a nice video of Comrie celebrating a Jets win the other day, and I thought that was funny. It showed up on social media a whole bunch. Obviously, the younger brother of Mike and Paul Comrie. I think a little bit, different mom or another marriage, but yes, one of the Comries from good old our town. So,
well, you wouldn't believe who was actually. I know this is completely off topic right here, but somebody made a special visit to the EST studios here today on his off day. He took today off, and then he has a whole next week off. Mr. YouTube Trev slid by to say hi. There? Well, he had a few showings today, and then he was just in the area, apparently. But he went to the beer fridge and took a couple of my pops home.
No, he didn't.
No, I didn't. No. He said, I just came by to say hi. I think he took some a Panino, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what he took.
Paninos?
Yeah, I looked in the fridge. That's the first thing I do every day I get here.
Miss out on today. I was at the rink all day.
So there was donuts brought in. Like there was a lot of goodies here.
Well, actually, Twitter Mary brought in a phenomenal cheesecake, and then the mini salted cheesecake bites, salted caramel. Oh, those were so good.
To die for.
Very lucky people showing up at our station and bringing stuff to us. That's been awesome. Okay, we have a few minutes left here. I'm going to get you up to speed on what's going on around the National Hockey League. 5 games on the schedule, and we'll wind it down with a few texts as well as the starting lineups. Pittsburgh up 3-2 on the Devils. 5 minutes left in New Jersey at the Rock. Then you've got Ottawa up 4-2 against Montreal. 14:46 left in the third. Ottawa outshooting the Habs 28-19. That is a battle for positioning in the wild card out east. The Habs have rolled off 6 straight wins. The Sens looking to get the higher wild card spot. They have the X beside their name. The Habs are trying to get it, and they're down 2 with 14 minutes left at Canadian Tire Center. Elsewhere, Tampa Bay hosting Detroit 3-2. The Lightning lead there. 10 minutes left in the third. Then you've got the Oilers and the Sharks, and then also tonight, Calgary hosting the Minnesota Wild. We could be saying so long to the Calgary Flames and their 24-25 season tonight, as the Oilers have a chance to clinch, eliminate Calgary, send the city of Edmonton off to the weekend on a high note. So let's look forward to potentially seeing that, and it could happen. So a lot of good things in that little situation, let's call it. Maple Jed asking, is Frederick skating? Maple Jed, I did not see him on the ice today. Generally, though, injured players will skate before the main group. I wasn't going to get there at 9 a.m. to see, but he's expected. All we got from Knobloch today was game 2, maybe game 1. That's the way he described it today. So there you go. There's your update. Let's go to Big Uke chiming in. Big Uke, great appearance on the Hangout today. Do I think Oilers roll tonight? Yes, says Big Uke. I think 5-2. Do I care if they only win 2-1? No. They'll lose in OT. Just get the damn point. Clinch tonight. Let's go, Oilers. Big U. Nicely done. Appreciate that very, very much. See what's going on in the nasty chat. Quaddy saying, wasn't it Romanov that stoned the Oilers last game? We love to make rookies and backups look good. He did have a nice night against the Oilers. Romanov, I'll dig it up for everybody. He made 35 saves against the Oilers. 3 goals on 38 shots in the loss. Yes, played well. That was at the Shark Tank. And then he subsequently lost against Calgary, took the L there. 3 goals on 32 shots, and did not play that game in mini. So, Romanov looked okay, but it's no Lucas Dostal situation. Lucas Dostal plays very well against the Oilers, the up-and-coming Anaheim Ducks goaltender. I think Georgie can be beaten. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's get to starting lineups one more time as we wind things down here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Gazzola and Koob with you for the Oilers tonight. McDavid between Skinner and Brown. Henrique centering Arvidsson and Hyman. Janmark with Podkolzin and Perry. Philp between Jones and Kapanen. Don't forget about Philp, says Belzy. On defense for the Oil, Nurse with Stetcher. Kulak with Bouchard. Mattias Ekholm makes his return to action after missing the last 7 games. He's paired up with Ty Emberson. Cam Dineen is your extra skater for the Oilers. The defenseman called on an emergency basis, or recalled by the Oilers from Bakersfield. As for the San Jose Sharks, here's what they're expected to roll out. Macklin Celebrini with Nikolai Kovalenko and Will Smith. Alex Wenberg between William Macklin and Tyler Toffoli. Ty Dellandrea with Carl Grundstrom and Barclay Goudreau. Zach Ostapchuk with Noah Gregor and Cameron Lund. On defense, Lucas Carlson with Timothy Liljegren. Henry Thrun with Jan Ruda. Mark-Edward Vlasic paired up with Jack Thompson. Your starting goalies for tonight. Calvin Pickard, 32-year-old for a couple more days. 21-9-1, 265 goals against average, 901 save percentage in 34 games this year. Pickard versus San Jose, lifetime 4-1-1, 315 goals against average, 898 save percentage in 6 appearances. At the other end of the rink, the aforementioned Georgie Romanov. Georgie! Like Estelle Costanza, the 25-year-old is 0-4 this season with a 402 goals against average, 873 save percentage in 6 games, and his 0-1 lifetime versus the Oil in 2 appearances with a 288 goals against average, 926 save percentage. Koob, how did it feel being back on the pregame show?
It felt really good. It's refreshing, a bit of a change up. You know, I was on air even with Maddie on the EST afternoons today. Just getting more reps and getting in there, you know, feeling the vibes of cracking the mic, and I'm loving it.
Good job. Good work tonight, my friend. The job isn't over. You can have a pop or 2, don't have 3, and be ready to go for the postgame show, okay?
That I will. I only have a couple cream sodas.
All right. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. A big thank you to Curtis Pashelka from the Bay Area News Group for joining us, giving us the story on the San Jose Sharks. 3 to 4 meetings between these Pacific Division foes. And for Shawn Belle and Ice Koob, Zachary Kubusch, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the Oilers and Sharks. We'll see you on the postgame show.